Okay.
Welcome, class. How are we today?
Yay!
Yeah. We are stopping in our bus tour of the history of California and talking about nature and conservation. The first thing we should talk about is, why is nature important? Anybody? Why should we care about nature? Yes, Chris?
It's very pretty.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
And so why is that important then, Chris?
I like pretty things.
So you think it's nice that we can look at pretty things?
Yeah.
We can live around it? Yes, Timothy.
Because we needed to survive.
Really? Why do we need to survive, Timothy?
Well, trees make air.
Yep, that is right. Trees do make air. Part you guys learned part of your biology class. It converts carbon dioxide to oxygen. So yeah, we need it to survive. We need it so it makes us happy because we like to look at pretty trees and flowers and oceans like we have here. Now, this is a quote from John Muir, who I'll talk about later. It says, "God has cared for these trees, saved them from drought, disease, avalanches, and 1,000 tempests and floods, but he cannot save them from fools." Does anybody want to take a guess at what this means? Anybody? Yes, Cameron.
Who's John Muir?
Oh, I'll cover that. But what do you think John Muir is trying to say? Yes, Lucas. What is a tempest?
Yeah.
Tempest is like a spirit. It's like a storm. Yeah, a tempest. Yeah, storm spirit. In a way. Yes, Timothy.
I think John Muir, I think he means that the fools are people who want to cut the trees down.
Exactly. Good job, Timothy. So what John Muir is trying to say is that through all of these disasters and avalanches and these crazy events, the trees and nature still survived. And it is the fools, us, that have really destroyed them. And this is a key message of John Muir, is he wanted to conserve and try to protect our land. Now, when we talk about nature, we want to talk about conservation and preservation. Does anybody know the difference between the two? Anybody? No? All right, let's take a guess. Which one do you think this is, guys? Is this conservation or preservation? Okay, why do you think it's preservation? Is it?
Because there's no man-made objects.
Exactly. Good job, Sam. So preservation is you want to preserve and keep people away from the nature. You want it to exist solely as how it was created. Whereas conservation is you want to still protect it, but you want to have human development involved with it so we can go in and view and really appreciate nature at its core. Now we're going to do a little quiz here. Is this conservation or is this preservation? All right, the first one is Yosemite National Park. Do you think this is conservation or preservation? Anybody? Yes, Cameron.
Conservation?
Why do you think it's conservation?
Because it's a national park.
It is.
Not preserved.
Yes. Good job, Kevin. Yes, so Yosemite National Park is protected. We are trying to save the nature that is there and trying to limit growth. But we also have campsites and lodging and trails that have been created through Yosemite National Park in order for us to go and appreciate the nature. So there are still touches of human involvement there. All right, how about our local park? The place you play basketball or? Yes.
This may be a stupid question, but which local park?
Any local park. Doesn't matter. It can be the one down the street or.
Park.
Would a local park be either of them? Because usually the things there aren't like it's usually the case where when people make parks they plant trees and grass. Like those aren't usually there before people get there.
You're right. So this is actually partly a trick question. This is neither conservation or preservation. Is a lot of local parks, although created to enjoy nature, are created by humans. Good job. Now the next one, Santa Cruz Islands. It's an island off the coast of California. Is this conservation or preservation? Yes, Kaden.
Do we get to go there?
No, we don't. That's a little hint for you. Yes.
Why not?
We'll get to that in a minute. If it's conservation or preservation first. Yes, Chris.
Is it preservation?
It is preservation. So the reason why it's preservation, Chris, is that we are not allowed on Santa Cruz Island. It is currently owned by the Wrigley family. You remember the gum, Wrigley gum? Yes, it's currently owned by that family, and they want to keep the island as it existed before people moved out to California. Yes,
Is that where they grow the gum?
it is not where they're doing it, actually.
Hopefully it goes over.
So it is preservation because humans are not allowed to interact or build on the site. Yes, Timothy.
You said the Wrigley family.
Yes.
Are they the same people the baseball field is?
Yes, they actually are the same people. They're a very, very wealthy and well-renowned family in the United States, but especially in California. Yes.
Do they get to go there?
They do. They do get to go there. Yeah. But they don't go and build anything. So the idea of preserving something is so that nobody goes and builds like a house or a trail, and you let like the ecosystem, all like the fish and the animals to just exist without us interfering with them. And now Torrey Pines State Park, last one's a local park just up the freeway here from us. Is it conservation or preservation? Anybody? Yes, Katie.
Is it conservation because we get to go in it?
Yes, exactly. It is conservation because we can take it there. Alright. So this brings us to John Muir. Does anybody know who John Muir is? For show of hands, who's heard of John Muir before? Yeah? Oh, we got a lot of folks, yeah. So John Muir was born April 21st in 1838 in Scotland and emigrated with his family to the United States in 1849. In 1867, John Muir was working in an industrial facility and got blinded partially. About a month later, he ended up regaining his eyesight, but it was the blindness that really helped him see how important and valuable nature is to us. Following this interaction and being partially blind for this shorter period of time, John Muir decided he wanted to go and travel the world and appreciate the nature that existed everywhere. So he ended up traveling through South America and making his way up to San Francisco in 1868. It was here that he ended up falling in love with California's vast and various natural areas, whether it be the Sierra Mountains or like ponds and rivers that you'd find along the way. He would end up being known as the father of the National Park System, partly because of his involvement and the creation of the Sierra Club, which I'll touch on in a minute. And this is also a photo of John Muir. He's older. A lot of the photos you'll see of him is him as an older man. But he spent his life, once he moved to California, traveling and walking through the Sierra Nevada mountains. Just he'd go and grab his backpack with some food and just hike along and just enjoy the creation. Now the Sierra Club, which there's a photo of some of the people here, you can see inside this big redwood tree that exists along the Sierra Nevada mountains up in Northern California, was founded in 1892, like I said, with the help of John Muir. They were a conservation group, and what they wanted to do is they wanted to try to protect the nature and the wilderness that existed in California. Bless you, Chris.
Thank you.
Do you need hand sanitizer?
No.
Okay.
I like John Muir.
The Sierra Club was mostly created of people like me, teachers and scholars who had time off during the summers, and they felt like they really wanted to go out and be with nature after being cooped up with a bunch of kids during the school year. So they decided to go out in nature and celebrate it and try to preserve it and just appreciate it. This also created a very diverse group of people that was both men and women accepted, which is kind of uncommon for this time period. They originally fought for the creation of national parks, so parks that were supposed to keep people from really heavily building areas, and continue to fight to this day on ideas of like overpopulation, climate change, and also continuous conservation and upkeep of parks that exist. One major figure who was involved with the Sierra Club is Ansel Adams, and this is a photo of him here. Good looking man. He was a photographer and absolutely loved California's natural landscape. Now all of these photos were taken in the early 1900s, so a lot of the modern equipment that we have, like our cell phone cameras and whatnot, didn't exist. And it's very primitive in comparison to what we have today. So, just looking at these is really quite fantastic. But this is a quote here from him saying, a photograph is usually looked at, seldom looked into. And what he means by this is that Ansel Adams used his photographs to kind of teach the world about how beautiful nature can be. And also have it stand for a different meaning of it's not just a picture, but it's something that we need to protect and preserve because it's not always going to look like this if we keep. Yes, Kaden.
What's he holding?
He's holding a camera. So this is actually an old primitive camera from the early 1900s. Primitive in comparison to what we have today, it's archaic. But anyways, yes, Timothy.
Did he know Muir?
He did know Muir. So, like I said, John Muir was a founder of the Sierra Club, and worked with Ansel Adams. They both ended up going on like camping trips, and Ansel Adams was actually well known for playing the violin, oddly enough. So they'd go out and camp, and he played the violin, and they all sit and have a good time and enjoy nature. Yes.
Where is that river?
This is in Northern California. I believe it's right off the Sierra Nevada mountains.
Can we go there?
We can take a picture there. This is. Does anybody know where this is?
That's in
Okay.
Yosemite. Half Dome.
That is Half Dome. That is Yosemite Valley,
I've been there.
which is. Have you really?
Chris is in
Timothy.
So, have you
Chris, you have a pin from there, perhaps?
No,
No, you don't have a pin from there?
I was, no,
Very English, I don't know what pins on your backpack.
thank you.
So part of the Sierra Club, what they wanted to do, and part of John Muir's push was to create national parks. National parks, as I said, are areas designated or arranged by the government to limit people from going and moving and taking trees down or polluting the environment, and they want to really make sure that nature exists solely how it is without us trying to interfere as much as possible. Now this is a picture of John Muir on the right. Does anybody know who's on the left? Yes, Cameron.
Teddy
Teddy who?
Bear.
No.
I have a bear named Teddy.
Not quite Teddy. Yes, close. Yes, Timothy.
He's one of the guys on Mount Rushmore.
He is one of the guys. This is Theodore Roosevelt. Is the youngest president ever in the history of our nation. Fun fact, Theodore Roosevelt. So this picture is taken when Theodore Roosevelt created a document to help John Muir preserve Yosemite, which this is before it ends up becoming a national park. But he really thought that like John Muir's idea of like preservation was like a really good thing. He's like, I want to keep all these trees and the streams and the waterfalls. So he made a document to say like, oh, you can't go and like take these down or pollute or anything like that. So the first national park was created in 1872. Does anybody know what the first national park was? It's really well known for its geysers. What was that, Zane?
Was he
Would you like to raise
Yellowstone?
your hand?
Was he Yellowstone?
Yes,
I've been there too.
Thank you. Yes, it was Yellowstone National Park in 1872, and it would then be followed by the first two national parks in California in 1890, which was Sequoia National Park and Yellowstone. Or Sequoia National Park and Yosemite. Sequoia is a forest area just south of Yellowstone. Following the creation of these national parks, the National Park Service was created in 1916. Does anyone want to take a guess what the National Park Service does? Yes, Kaden?
Do they serve national parks?
To a certain extent, yes. So what they do is they are the people who go and work and trying to like clear trails for you guys to hike on. They try to pick up trash that's left behind. They do studies to see how the populations of different like animals are doing in the area, and also just being tour guides and little mini historians and trying to teach us the value of the area and also the history behind it. Now, a few of our national parks that I previously mentioned, one of them is Yosemite National Park. It was first protected in 1864 with the help of Theodore Roosevelt and was created as a national park in 1890. It is 1,200 square miles. Has anybody been to Yosemite other than Chris? Lucas? Yeah, I actually went my senior year in high school. I know it's old for you guys a long time ago. But I went with a group of my friends and we went backpacking and climbing through the mountains, actually.
Did you have one of those primitive cameras?
I did. Another national park, which
We have
is,
questions.
oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Do you have any pictures of you in Yosemite?
I do, but I didn't feel like putting them on here.
Okay.
Okay.
Probably for the best.
Do you have a violin?
I did not play the violin. I'm not musically talented. Another national park is the same, is Joshua Tree National Park. Yes.
I live by there.
Do you really live by here? Yeah, so it is a more recent national park that's been created. Do you know what year it was created, Cameron?
No.
Slightly before you were born. Created in 1994. This is one of the newer additions to our national parks list. It is east of where we are today in San Diego. It is 794,000 acres. What is really fascinating about California and its wildlife, and something that John Muir really appreciated, is really the diversity, how they're not the same. So we see it like it's got some like little like cacti type plants here, a bunch of like big sandstone rocks, a bunch of sand here on the ground, which is very different when we look at Yellowstone, Yosemite. Yosemite has these these big mountains and a bunch of trees. This is vastly different, and this is something that California has been known for, is having like a really diverse landscape, and that's something that we've grown to appreciate, and you guys should appreciate as Californians and growing up with this. I encourage you all to push your parents into letting you travel and see all these sites, because they're not always going to look like this, and they really are changing. And part of the change has been tried, a lot of it has come from us polluting and throwing things away. But one of these systems or organizations that was put in place to try to help this was the California Conservation Corps. And their quote is, "Hard work, low pay, miserable conditions, and more." So this was first founded as the Civilian Conservation Corps in 1933. Does anybody know what was going on in the United States during this time period? 1930s? Timothy?
There was a war during that time.
There was a war, but prior to this,
People ran out of money.
exactly, it's a Great Depression, so you had a lot of people who were out of work. And in order to try to fight this lack of jobs, the government said, well, you know what, let's put a bunch of young boys to work and have them go clean up our natural forests and create trails. So a lot of the trails that they'll go hiking on today was actually created in the early, you gonna take this? Yeah, sorry. It was actually created in the 1920s, 1930s with the Civilian Conservation Corps. It is kind of moved on and evolved today as a continuation of what it was. Is it still fights to conserve and protect and also clean up our national parks. There's about 1,500 people who work for it each and every year. They help with, like I said, cleaning, trimming trees, but they also help with emergency services. Especially recently, we've seen a lot of fires in California. The California Conservation Corps trains young students, young adults, to go and help fight fires and eventually work for different like CAL FIRE and fire organizations to prevent these. So they are on the lines trying to protect, homes and stuff from being burned, as well as going out and going to like different areas that have been hit with like tsunamis or earthquakes, like Puerto Rico in recent years. I want to show you guys a video of the California Conservation Corps. This is just one of the things you guys can look forward to. If nature really is an interest to you, you really love to be outside and want to help. They have a video that's kind of geared to encouraging you guys to go look. See if I can get this loaded up here. Okay, there's the technical difficulties. Hold on. Pardon me, guys. Does anybody know how to make this work? You young kids probably do this all the time. No? Let's see.
Should be a volume button.
Seems so smart.
I feel like he's been in the fourth grade for a decade.
This would work
You should just play it off your laptop.
Okay, I'll play it off my laptop and we'll just use the sound clip. Hopefully it's loud enough.
What are they screaming?
Tell you what I signed up for.
There's so many opportunities here.
It's one of the best experiences of my life. I'm actually getting paid to do what I love to do, which is take care of the environment.
A year in the California Conservation Corps is unforgettable.
Every day is different.
It's had a tremendous impact.
The series is just a good way to kind of dip your toes in a lot of different things.
If it looks like hard work,
Long days.
Sweat, bleed, cry.
that's because it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, but I love it. I really do.
It doesn't feel like working to me.
After all, it is in the motto.
Hard work, low pay, miserable conditions, and more.
Since 1976, CCC has provided young adults the paid opportunity to improve and enhance California's natural resources and communities.
I couldn't be happier.
I don't know what else I'd be doing besides this.
Corps members fully embrace the CCC motto: hard work, low pay, miserable conditions, and more. So, what does the and more mean?
More is an experience for me.
It means something different to every Corps member.
Whatever it is that you're looking for, that's the more.
It's helping get your high school diploma.
I'm proud of myself. The and more for me is the scholarships.
That's about $8,000.
I got my S212, I can use a chainsaw now.
An opportunity to get into the electrical field.
Going into law enforcement, Caltrans,
Cal Fire.
I want to become a forest ranger.
And more is lots of all the amazing people you meet. I make so many great friends through this program.
Corps members work on a wide variety of projects, big and small, urban and rural alike.
I can't believe that we're the ones that get to work on this project.
They upgrade lighting as part of the CCC Energy Corps
They were helping out schools.
and build trails in national parks. Corps members improve rivers and streams for native fish populations. And learn to prep, cook, and serve meals. The culinary program.
You're just always learning.
The CCC protects Californians by reducing fuel for wildfires.
I just love firefighting. That's why I signed up.
And Corps members work on the front lines with CAL FIRE, U.S. Forest Service, and Bureau of Land Management on fire crews.
You are doing some good work for everybody else. You are doing a good deed for everybody. There's a lot of homes, a lot of people that really appreciate us.
All Corps members respond to emergencies, both near and far.
The Seas gave me the opportunity to respond to Puerto Rico and help them out.
Many projects require camping near work sites, far away from the city lights. Most last 4 to 8 days.
It was just us way out in the middle of the woods.
In the backcountry program, it's a 6-month adventure.
Your cell phone, once you get rid of it for about 5 days, stop really worrying about it.
No matter the conditions,
It's hot. Pretty hot.
the challenge of the work,
You gotta work hard to get what you want.
or how spectacular the sights,
We're in Yosemite and we get to see these amazing views wherever we hike.
the CCC is about improving neighborhoods, giving back to the community, and making a difference by maintaining and enhancing California's natural splendor.
It's just to preserve the land.
We are making a difference for these communities.
But most importantly, Corps members learn a lot about themselves.
It's a lot of things just aside from the job. It's life skills.
I feel like it turned me into a very hardworking person.
I've grown a lot in ways that I never thought I could.
The seas made my life better.
I'm proud that I did. You know, I was part of it.
It opened up doors for me. And I want to be here if it wasn't for the California Conservation Corps.
All right, what do we think about that? Any comments? Yeah, Timothy, what do you think?
It showed them breaking a lot of rocks. I thought they were supposed to be conserving things, not breaking them.
Yeah.
Cutting trees.
Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of the breaking rocks or cutting trees or breaking rocks is they're probably clearing paths or, clearing up rock slides that have, occurred. And the clearing trees is they're trying to limit to limit the amount of trees that can catch on fire. By kind of cutting down, it slows down fires when they end up starting, and it gives firefighters a chance to attack them quicker and get the fire down. Who would actually like to go try to do what they're doing? Does anybody really enjoy that? Yeah, see, Cameron? I think this. Yeah, it really is. It's a way for you to be involved with nature and to appreciate the natural beauty of our state, as well as learn how to do electrical or work outdoors and yeah.
They got to use some cool tools.
They did. A lot of them weren't necessarily should be capable of doing this, but yeah, they were using chainsaws and different stuff which is really cool. I mean, where else are you gonna learn how to run a chainsaw or that type of stuff? Yeah.
It looks kind of dangerous. What if they get hurt?
Yeah, so they actually have, when you sign up, they do have a safety course that you go through before going out, and people are on different assignments. San Diego is actually one of the biggest areas for the CCC. So they have inner city, which is like cleaning up parks and local trails, and then like what you saw towards the end is they have 6 to 8 day trips where you go out and you just camp and you clean up the forests and you help clear the trees and so on and so forth there. So yeah, you get trained based on where you're going. So this is just to kind of get your guys' eyes open on the beauty of the nature that surrounds us as Californians. It has heavily affected us, and it's something that just what I think we should really pay attention to is try to conserve and limit our waste and how we treat the environment, because this is something that's going to be a big topic for everybody moving forward. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.